Everything in your owner's manual is wrong. It's designed to get you past the warranty, not to save your truck. Here's the only GMC maintenance schedule that actually works. Every 5,000 miles. Let's start with what you should be doing every 5,000 miles. This is the foundation that everything else builds on. Oil change. GM's Oil Life Monitor will tell you that you can go 7,500 miles between changes. Some owners push it to 10,000 because the manual says it's okay. And technically, with modern synthetic oil, your engine probably won't explode if you do that. But here's what GM isn't telling you. The 5.3 and 6.2-liter engines use active fuel management, the system that shuts down 4 cylinders to save fuel. Every time AFM activates, special lifters inside your engine collapse and expand. This happens thousands of times during normal driving. Those AFM lifters depend entirely on clean oil for proper lubrication. When your oil gets contaminated with combustion byproducts, fuel dilution, and microscopic metal particles, it stops protecting those lifters properly. They start to wear, they get sloppy, and eventually they collapse completely, taking your camshaft with them. I've seen this happen to engines with less than 100,000 miles. Owner followed the Oil Life Monitor exactly. Changed oil every 8,000 miles like GM recommended. At 92,000 miles, complete lifter failure. $4,200 repair. This owner thought he was doing everything right. But the manual isn't designed to get your truck to 300,000 miles. It's designed to get you past the warranty period. Change your oil every 5,000 miles. No exceptions. For gas engines, use 0W20 Dexos 1 Gen 3 oil. Capacity is 8 quarts. The AC Delco PF63E filter costs $12 to $18. For the 6.6-liter Duramax, use 15W40CK4. Capacity is 10 quarts. Use the AC Delco PF232 filter. $15 to $22 cost. If you do it yourself, $45 to $70 for gas, $80 to $120 for diesel. At the dealer, $85 to $150 for gas, $150 to $250 for diesel. You're saving $40 to $130 every oil change. Over the life of the truck, that's thousands of dollars. Tire rotation. Every 5,000 miles, rotate your tires front to back. This evens out wear and extends tire life by 20 to 30%. Front tires handle steering loads and wear faster on the outer edges. If you never rotate, your fronts will be worn out at 40,000 miles while your rears still have plenty of tread. A set of truck tires costs $800 to $1,400. Rotating them adds 15,000 to 20,000 extra miles. Cost, if you do it yourself, free. At a shop, $25 to $50. Visual inspection. Every oil change, spend 5 minutes looking under the truck. Check for oil leaks around valve covers, oil pan, and rear main seal. Check for coolant leaks around the water pump and hoses. Look at your transmission pan for fluid seepage. Check brake pads through the wheel spokes. You should see at least a 1/4 inch of material. Check tire sidewalls for cracks or damage. A weeping valve cover gasket costs $150 to fix early. Ignore it until oil drips onto your exhaust manifold and you're risking an engine fire. Small leaks become big leaks. Catch them early. Every 15,000 miles. At 15,000 miles, add these services to your routine. Engine air filter. Your engine breathes through this filter. When it gets clogged with dirt and debris, your engine works harder to pull air in. A restricted filter causes multiple problems. Fuel economy drops because the engine runs rich. Power decreases because there's not enough oxygen for complete combustion. In severe cases, dirt particles bypass a damaged filter and enter your engine, causing accelerated wear on cylinder walls and piston rings. GM recommends 30,000 to 45,000 miles. I say 15,000, especially if you drive on dusty roads, work around construction, or commute in heavy traffic. The AC Delco A3181C fits most Sierra and Yukon models. Cost, $25 to $35 if you do it yourself. At the dealer, $60 to $90 for a 2-minute job. They're charging you $40 in labor to pop 2 clips and swap a filter. Cabin air filter. This cleans the air coming through your vents. When it's clogged, your AC works harder, your defrost takes forever, and your cabin smells musty. The AC Delco CF188 fits most GMC trucks. It's behind the glove box. Drop the glove box, swap the filter, done. 5 minutes, no tools. Cost, $20 to $30. At the dealer, $50 to $80 for a 5-minute job. Replace every 15,000 miles or once a year, whichever comes first. Brake inspection. At 15,000 miles, actually look at your brakes. Don't just assume they're fine because the truck stops. Pull your wheels and inspect the pads. New pads have 10 to 12 millimeters of friction material. Replace at 3 millimeters. If you're at 5 millimeters, start planning for replacement soon. Check your rotors for deep grooves, scoring, or heat discoloration. Blue or purple spots mean overheating. Run your finger across the surface. It should feel smooth. Deep ridges or a lip at the edge means resurfacing or replacement. Check brake lines for cracks, bulges, or wet spots. Brake fluid is clear to amber. Any wetness indicates a leak needing immediate attention. This inspection costs nothing but 30 minutes. Catching worn pads before they grind into rotors saves $300 to $500. Catching a deteriorating brake line before it ruptures could save your life. Every 30,000 miles. At 30,000 miles, we're getting into more serious territory. Transmission fluid check. Notice I said check, not change. At 30,000 miles, you're inspecting the fluid to catch early warning signs. GM says this fluid is lifetime. We'll talk about why that's complete nonsense later. Pull the dipstick with the engine warm. Fresh Dexron 6 is bright red, like cherry Kool-Aid. As it ages, it darkens to brownish red, then brown, then black. If your fluid is still red at 30,000 miles, you're good. If it's already turning brown or smells burnt, something is causing accelerated breakdown, possibly overheating from towing or an underlying issue. On trucks without a dipstick, check through the fill plug with the transmission at operating temperature. More involved, but worth doing. Spark plugs, 2.7-liter turbo only. If you have the 2.7-liter turbocharged engine, replace plugs at 30,000 miles. The turbocharger creates higher cylinder pressures than the V8s. Higher pressures mean more stress on spark plugs. They wear faster and need earlier replacement. Use AC Delco 41-162 iridium plugs. Cost $60 to $80 if you do it yourself. At the dealer, $200 to $300. That's $150 in labor for an hour's work. V8 engines can wait until 60,000 miles. Fuel system cleaner. Every 30,000 miles, run a quality cleaner through your tank. This removes carbon deposits from injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. Carbon buildup is especially bad on direct injection engines. The 2.7-liter turbo and newer 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter V8s. Because fuel sprays directly into the combustion chamber, it never washes over the intake valves. Carbon accumulates on valve stems and heads, eventually causing rough, idle, misfires, and reduced performance. Professional intake valve cleaning costs $500 to $800. A bottle of Chevron Techron Redline SI1 or Liqui Moly Jectron costs $12 to $25. Add it before filling up, then drive normally. The cleaner works through your system over the next few hundred miles. Quick thing, if this is helping, hit subscribe. I put out videos every week helping GMC owners save money and avoid expensive repairs. Every 60,000 miles. 60,000 miles is the most critical interval. What you do here determines whether your truck lasts 150,000 miles or 300,000. Transmission fluid change. This is the big one. GM says lifetime fluid that never needs changing. That is a lie, and I'll explain exactly why at the end of this video. Transmission fluid breaks down over time. It absorbs heat from normal operation. It collects microscopic metal particles from clutch pack and gear wear. It loses its friction modifiers, the additives that allow smooth shifts. By 60,000 miles, your fluid has been through thousands of heat cycles. It's darker than new. It's contaminated with wear particles. It's not protecting your transmission the way fresh fluid does. Drop the pan, replace the internal filter, clean the magnet that collects metal particles, and refill with fresh Dexron 6. Most GMC trucks hold 12 to 14 quarts total. A pan drop replaces 6 to 8 quarts. That's fine. You're replacing the dirtiest fluid and the filter. Cost if you do it yourself, $150 to $200. At the dealer, $250 to $400. A transmission rebuild costs $3,500 to $6,000. This $200 service prevents that. Coolant flush. GM says DexCool lasts 150,000 miles. In the real world, I recommend your first flush at 60,000. DexCool's corrosion inhibitors deplete over time. The coolant becomes acidic. Once that happens, it attacks the components it's supposed to protect. The water pump impeller corrodes. Radiator tubes develop pinhole leaks. The heater core, buried behind your dashboard, starts to fail. Drain completely. Flush with distilled water. Refill with fresh Dex Cool. Never mix with green coolant. They react and form a gel that clogs your entire system. Cost if you do it yourself: $40 to $60. At the dealer, $150 to $250. A water pump costs $400 to $700. A radiator costs $600 to $800. A heater core costs $1,200 to $1,800 because the entire dashboard comes out. This $60 flush prevents all of that. Differential fluid. Front and rear. Your differentials contain gears and bearings under extreme pressure. The gear oil lubricates and carries away heat. Over time, fluid breaks down and collects metal particles. When it can't protect the gears, you'll hear whining from the axle. That means damage is happening. Eventually, complete failure. GM says 150,000 miles. That's way too long, especially if you tow. I recommend 60,000 for normal driving, 30,000 if you tow regularly. Use 75W90 synthetic gear oil. If you have limited slip, add friction modifier, GM part number 889000105. Without it, you'll get chatter and binding when turning. Cost per axle if you do it yourself: $50 to $80. At the dealer, $150 to $250. A differential rebuild costs $1,500 to $2,500. Transfer case fluid, 4WD only. The transfer case splits power between front and rear axles. It contains gears and chains needing proper lubrication. Use Auto Track 2 fluid. Capacity is about 2 quarts. Cost if you do it yourself, $40 to $60. At the dealer, $120 to $180. A transfer case rebuild costs $2,500 to $4,000. Spark plugs, V8 engines. GM rates them for 97,000 miles. I recommend 60,000 to 80,000. As plugs wear, the electrode gap increases. Wider gaps require more voltage. Eventually, you get weak spark or misfires. Weak spark means incomplete combustion. Incomplete combustion means unburned fuel going into your catalytic converter. Sustained exposure destroys it. A C-Delco 41-114 iridium plugs cost $80 to $120 for all 8. A catalytic converter costs $1,200 to $2,000. Cost if you do it yourself, $80 to $120. At the dealer, $250 to $400. Every 100,000 miles. If you followed this schedule, your GMC should be running strong at 100,000 miles. Here's what keeps it going for another 100,000. Serpentine belt and tensioner. This belt drives your alternator, power steering pump, water pump, and AC compressor. When it fails, consequences are immediate and severe. You lose power steering instantly. You lose your alternator, so the battery drains. Most critically, you lose your water pump. Without coolant circulation, your engine overheats within minutes. If you catch it and pull over immediately, you're looking at a belt replacement and tow bill. If you don't notice or push it, you're looking at warped heads, blown head gasket, or seized engine. $3,000 to $12,000. Most belts last 60,000 to 100,000 miles. By 100,000, yours is due even if it looks okay. Rubber degrades internally where you can't see. Replace the tensioner at the same time. A weak tensioner causes belt slip and accelerated wear. Cost, if you do it yourself, $80 to $120. At the dealer, $250 to $400. Water pump inspection. Look for coolant weeping from the weep hole, a small hole that releases coolant when the internal seal fails. Check for bearing play by wiggling the pulley. Any sign of failure? Replace it now while it's planned, rather than waiting for highway failure. Cost, $300 to $500 if you do it yourself. Brake fluid flush. Brake fluid absorbs moisture over time. Even in a sealed system, water migrates through rubber hoses and seals. Water contamination lowers the boiling point. Fresh DOT4 boils at over 400 degrees. Contaminated fluid can boil at 300 or less. When brake fluid boils, it creates vapor bubbles. Vapor compresses, liquid doesn't. The pedal goes soft or sinks to the floor. You lose stopping power. This is especially dangerous when towing or driving mountain grades. Cost, if you do it yourself, $20 to $30. At the dealer, $100 to $150. Power steering fluid flush. Another lifetime fluid that isn't. By 100,000 miles, your power steering fluid is contaminated with wear particles and moisture. It accelerates wear on your pump and rack. The pump whines. Steering feels heavy. Eventually, components fail. At cost, if you do it yourself, $20 to $30. At a shop, $75 to $150. A power steering pump costs $300 to $500. A steering rack costs $800 to $1,200. This $30 flush prevents both. Battery test. Most batteries last 3 to 5 years. At 100,000 miles, you're probably on your second or third. Have it load tested. Clean terminals with baking soda and wire brush. Apply dielectric grease. A new battery costs $150 to $250. Getting stranded costs more. The service GM says you don't need. This is the most important thing in this entire video. GM says your transmission fluid is lifetime. They print it in your owner's manual. Their service advisors repeat it. It is a lie. Lifetime doesn't mean the lifetime of the truck. It means the lifetime of the warranty. GM calculated that most transmissions survive 100,000 miles on factory fluid. That gets them past the powertrain warranty. After that, failures become your problem, not theirs. I've seen firsthand what happens when owners believe this myth. One customer brought his 2016 Sierra at 118,000 miles. Transmission slipping between second and third, harsh shifts, shudder when accelerating from a stop. We dropped the pan. The fluid was black, not dark red, not brown, black. It smelled burnt. The magnet was covered in metal particles and sludge. The filter was completely clogged. The transmission was destroyed internally. Clutch packs burnt and glazed. Valve body scored from contaminated fluid. Rebuild cost, $4,000 to $200. This owner followed GM's schedule exactly. He did everything the manual told him, and it cost him over $4,000. Now let me tell you about another customer with the exact same truck, same year Sierra, same transmission, same mileage, around 120,000 miles. This owner changed fluid every 60,000 miles since he bought it. When we dropped his pan, the fluid was still red. Not bright red, but healthy pinkish red. The magnet had minimal debris. The filter was clean. The transmission shifted perfectly. Same truck, same miles, completely different outcome. The difference was a $200 service every 60,000 miles. GM's lifetime recommendation isn't designed to protect your truck. It's designed to protect GM from warranty claims and generate transmission repair revenue after the warranty expires. Change your transmission fluid every 60,000 miles. It's the single most important service for your GMC's longevity. That's the only GMC maintenance schedule you'll ever need. Every service I mentioned costs a fraction of the repair it prevents. A $50 differential service prevents a $2,000 rebuild. A $60 coolant flush prevents a $1,500 heater core. A $200 transmission service prevents a $6,000 failure. This isn't about spending more money on maintenance. It's about spending smart money, so you never spend stupid money on catastrophic repairs that could have been prevented. Your GMC was built to last 300,000 miles. But it won't get there on GM's maintenance schedule. It'll get there on this one. If you want to know which GMC engines to avoid, watch my video on the 5 engines only uninformed buyers purchase. And if you're worried about your truck losing value, check out my video on the GMCs that will be worthless in 2026. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.